We are what we eat. The famous phrase by ancient Greek physician Hippocrates takes on special significance in China. In the Celestial Empire, food is the main topic of almost any conversation. The English, for example, start every conversation with talk about the weather. The Chinese, instead of the usual "Hi, how are you?" will say "Ni qi le ma," which means "Have you had a meal today?" And if asked "What did you have for lunch?" one could answer with an old Chinese proverb: "There are no inedible products, just bad cooks."
Okay. 怎么吃？就用吃，一要吃。全吃，一口一个，哎。哦，玩胡子。Well, I just tried my first scorpions in my life. It's not bad, actually. It's tasty, so crunchy. We'll see what's gonna happen after. I hope it's not gonna kill me.
Culinary art in China is a kind of philosophy that goes way back to ancient times. The myriad ways of cooking, a wide variety of products, the most exquisite taste and distinctive plating. That's what traditional Chinese cuisine is about.
My name is Bruce, and I learned Chinese for a while. I really liked it, and then I decided, like, why not coming to China and really taste the real flavor of China?
Beijing city center, Wangfujing Street. Labyrinths of food stalls and tents where it's all too easy to get lost. But what overwhelms you even more is the choice. What to try first? Or maybe not take any risks at all.
Very good.
It's really artistic the way that they are making it. Look at it. It doesn't look very good. You're eating the cow's stomach, and you can see all those inside things, you know. But anyhow, like, you know, I'm trying it. Doesn't really look good, but it doesn't taste that bad. Like, at least it's spicy enough so I cannot taste it that much. So
Very good.
Taking gastronomical risks is a life mission for a true foodie like Bruce Nico. He was learning Chinese for many years back home in Canada. Then finally he moved to China. It seems he has tasted almost everything there is to taste, but he doesn't know what China tastes like yet. Bruce's main goal in the Chinese capital is to find a legendary Peking duck, but for the time being,
to me, it looks like it's a part of a car, maybe. Doesn't look like, you know, a cake. Yeah, so, yeah, it's really, it is a cake.
in China, street food is insanely popular. The reason is that people in large cities don't usually cook at home, preferring cafes and restaurants to their own kitchens. But that's not surprising. After all, in China, one can grab a bite at every step, literally, and the prices are reasonable. For example, Bruce paid just 10 yuan, or about $1.50, for these delicious little caramel-covered apples called tanghulu. All kinds of fruits instead of apples can be used to make tanghulu, even cherry tomatoes, usually served as a dessert in China.
Okay, so it was a great experience. I just got to Beijing tonight, and then straight I came here for the food, and then like it's one of those places that if you're a foodie, you want to be here. But when I came here, originally I came here to Beijing to have the famous Beijing roasted duck. So what we're gonna have tomorrow, we're gonna try Peking duck. Be with me for that.
There's no way to describe traditional Chinese cuisine in definitive terms. After all, the Celestial Empire is a huge country. People of 56 ethnic groups live here, and each cherishes their culinary traditions and recipes. But two main geographical culinary regions can still be identified: the North and the South. Northern cuisine is heartier and fattier. The Southern, on the other hand, is lighter, which can be explained by climate. Yet the province that's famous for its extreme cuisine is located in the South. The tastes of the Guangdong population shock even the rest of the Chinese.
Никао! Это Никита.
А это Гена. Ну, а это город
Гуанчжоу!
Гуанчжоу – это торговая столица Китая. Но мы здесь не для того, чтобы покупать или продавать.
Мы здесь для того, чтобы есть. И наша цель – попробовать самые экзотические, самые странные блюда, которые европейцы себе бы не заказали.
А для этого Гена будет заказывать еду мне. Ну, а я, в свою очередь, устрою ему настоящее гастрономическое испытание.
To plunge themselves into the paradise of taste, gastro-tourists Gena and Nikita have gone to downtown Guangzhou, the capital city of Guangdong province, to Beijing Street. This pedestrian street is rather something like a local Oxford Street, a hub of boutiques and shopping malls. But if you turn left at the start, you'll find the true gastronomical oasis. That's where the guys were so eager to be, abandoning the greyness of their office lives. Because they don't go on holiday to a beach or all-inclusive hotels. They prefer to test their palates with the most unusual dishes around the world.
Скажи мне, что тебе здесь нравится?
Вот смотри, прекрасное мясо, мне кажется, с картошечкой идеально.
Да? Ну, тогда тебе я это точно не закажу. А что?
Я не хочу на это смотреть. Слушай, я пойду тогда тебе выберу блюдо. Ну, а ты выбирай, что ты для меня хочешь.
Давай.
Вот это вот заведение выглядит достаточно аутентично. Нихао. Нихао. Do you speak English?
Давай, вот это вот и вот это. Давай. Я не знаю, что это. Я даже боюсь представить себе, что это. Но я уверен, Гене понравится.
It turned out that Nikita chose a traditional Guangdong snack. It's what Guangzhou residents eat almost daily: pig stomachs and cow's guts in their own juice.
Да, и поострее.
На самом деле это выглядит достаточно вкусно, и мне кажется, я Никите делаю сейчас просто подарок.
And here's another traditional snack. Fried mushrooms, shrimps and greens are wrapped in a rice flour flatbread. It does sound pretty delicious.
Но посмотрим на его реакцию.
Я пока тебя нашел, даже на 40-градусной жаре боялся, что мой тебе презент остынет. Попробуй. Нравится, да?
Мне очень нравится, я очень хочу попробовать это блюдо. Только я не понимаю, зачем ты свое одеяло разрезала на кусочки? У меня сейчас происходит определенное преодоление.
Господи, как я долго ждал этого. Ну как?
Это выглядит не так вкусно, как это есть на самом деле. Кстати, я смотрю, тут уже мое блюдо готово для тебя.
Как? Ну и что ты мне
Спасибо,
приготовил?
красавица.
When you start getting to know Guangdong cuisine better, you understand that while some dishes look quite scary, they taste amazing.
Давай вот как ты обычно.
Барабанная дробь.
Просто сразу все в рот и все.
Но я ее всю не засуну, хотя я... Ты знаешь, кстати, в Китае говорят, есть такое выражение «большой рот».
Слушай, я вижу по твоим глазам, что тебе тоже вкусно.
Обалдеть! Хочешь креветок?
Конечно.
In the half hour the gastro-tourists spent at the center of Guangzhou, they also tried shellfish baked in an egg. Perhaps the dish looked disgusting, but seafood aficionados will love it. They also got pork legs with traditional noodles. Then finally, the time for something sweet came, and Gena got Nikita a surprise dessert.
Никита, мой друг, у меня для тебя идеальный десерт. Я думаю, ты будешь в восторге.
Ну, во-первых, слово «десерт» мне уже не нравится. А во-вторых, ну, ты вышел из такой европейской кафешки на вид. Ну, чем ты меня можешь удивить?
Ты попробуй. Только подожди, я сейчас отойду подальше. Давай, пробуй, пробуй.
Это носки твои? Что это?
Вот это выражение лица я ждал весь день.
In China, desserts in the conventional European sense of the word aren't popular. Not every restaurant would serve cakes and pastries. In the Celestial Empire, and healthy lifestyle aficionados are going to love this, mostly fruits, exotic or otherwise, are served for dessert. But there's one pretty popular fruit that's forbidden from being stored at some hotels or carried on public transport: durian. The reason is its nasty odor. But Guangdong's cuisine is not just about beef guts or weird-smelling fruit. And actually, these won't impress experienced globetrotters. Those who want to wrap their heads around Guangzhou cuisine must try morning tea. But we'll get back to that later. And now, let's travel back to Beijing, where Bruce is looking for a simple breakfast after an exotic dinner last night.
Well, after a grueling marathon of last night, just having different foods, I really want to have some simple breakfast this morning. And it seemed that I was out of luck at that place. You know, for some reasons, there is a specific time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner here in China. So that place, they did not weird, but they didn't have any breakfast. Luckily, I found this food court. You know, they seem they have some interesting food. So let's just have a look.
Shopping malls in Beijing are a dime a dozen, and each has its own food courts, with cuisines for any taste. But of course, Bruce is only looking for Chinese fast food.
哎，你好，你好，早上好。我来一个那个煎饼，就是那个北京的那个，不要说那个放一些那个粉碎的那个啊。This is fried pancake, a Chinese traditional breakfast, very popular. A lot of young people every day, like they eat this. Pretty much they make it the same way that they are making crepe, like French crepe. So they're gonna add some, like they spread the batter of flour on a pan, and then they are adding some other ingredients. I just asked him to put 2 eggs. They're gonna be some Chinese parsley, cilantro, and some different sauce, some hot sauce. You know, I like it spicy. Oh, this is interesting. They're gonna put this inside. It's some sort of like, you know, fried cracker. So it gives you that kind of good feeling inside. Oh, look at that. That was fast. 好的，好的，啊，谢谢，谢谢，谢谢。Is similar to crepe, but it's spicy, and the cracker that they put inside actually makes it feel really, really well. Actually, I think if you're coming to Beijing, you have to try this for breakfast. If you want to ask for it, it's called jianbing. Jianbing.
Bruce definitely enjoyed a light breakfast in the French-Chinese style. And while he's working up an appetite for tonight's Peking duck, we'll travel back to Guangzhou, where Genna and Nikita continue experimenting on their stomachs. The traditional morning tea awaits them now.
А ты какой чай любишь?
Слушай, я черный, крупнолистовой.
А я зеленый улун люблю.
Ну, такое приятненькое заведение. Нихао.
Нихао, нихао.
是不是
Нам дзао ча.
早茶？
Дао ча.
早茶哦，好嘅。嗱，呢啲就係早茶。
Дай посмотрю.
哦，這個是早茶。
А где чай-то?
哦，這個
Пельмени, каша. Все прекрасно. Подожди, а где чай? Как выяснилось, гуанчжоуский традиционный утренний чай не столько про чай и не столько про утро. Это поздний завтрак, плавно переходящий в обед, во время которого можно попробовать массу традиционных местных блюд. Ну и так заодно чайку попить.
The Guangzhou morning tea is served at traditional restaurants, and the tea itself is far from the most important element. Here, it's served not with sugar and biscuits. There's a whole menu to go with it. For example, Nikita and Gena have ordered prawn dim sums. First, a cook takes tiger prawns, then smashes them with a cleaver. Then, he adds spices, oil, salt, pepper, scallions, and most importantly, oyster sauce to the mix. Now, it's time to make the dough. Classic rice dough is cut into tiny bits and stretched out really thin. Then he takes the filling made out of prawns and wraps it in these flapjacks. The main thing here is to wrap dim sums nicely and put them into a steamer basket. The steaming process allows to preserve most nutrients. Among other things, the gastro-tourists get phoenix claws for tea. The name is quite pretentious, isn't it? Actually, these are just chicken feet, the ones with claws. By the way, this food is immensely popular all over China. One can find it not only at restaurants, but in regular grocery stores as well. But unlike Guangzhou, in other Chinese cities, people prefer to have phoenix claws with beer, not tea.
За полдня в Гуанчжоу мы попробовали основные местные закуски. Что скажешь?
Ну, я летел сюда с представлением, что китайская кухня очень острая. Однако в Гуанчжоу все не совсем так. Здесь добавляют не так много специй, и это неплохо, потому что прекрасно раскрывается вкус продуктов. Ну, а тебе как?
Ох уж эти свиные желудки.
Подожди, они были очень даже ничего.
Давай так, на вкус и цвет товарища нет. Но попробовать местную кухню стоит обязательно.
А даже если она по каким-то причинам вам по вкусу не придется, не забывайте, в Китае множество других городов, и в каждом свои уникальные блюда.
And in the meantime, while waiting for a Peking duck dinner in Beijing, Bruce dropped by an Islamic cuisine restaurant for lunch. That's right, this cuisine is very popular in China, but you won't find harcho or pilaf here, the dishes that we're so accustomed to. Local Islamic cuisine is largely influenced by Chinese ways. Bruce ordered jelly tofu soup.
And the combination is really good.
A traditional meat pie, and just in case, grilled lamb on a stick, a thing that's more familiar for a European.
谢谢，谢谢，谢谢。Honestly, like among these three foods, I really like this one. The texture is really good, and I like the taste. I'm wondering how they made it. Well, it's China, so I don't know if they're gonna tell me, but I'll try.
Visitors aren't usually allowed in the kitchen, of course, but Bruce has turned on all his charm and the food blogger got access to the restaurant's sanctuary.
其实北京菜呢，它其实也叫融合菜，因为北京本身过去最早的是四大菜系或者八大菜系，就没有北京菜。但是最早进京的菜呢是鲁菜或者川菜。 因为这个东西就是咱们北京没菜系呢，等于都是把外地的菜系引进到北京。在咱们北京呢，小吃呢，这肯定是有名的。这个北京小吃在世界上也是源远流长的。这样。
Another characteristic feature of Beijing cuisine has something to do with rice, which is far less used as a side dish in the north, compared with other provinces. Because local dry soils are not suitable for rice paddy cultivation. That's why locals have been growing mostly wheat since olden times. Rice here is often replaced by noodles, buns, and pies.
太好吃了，太好吃了，非常感谢，特别好吃。
你又学了一门中国手艺，
非常好吃。
But Bruce shouldn't spoil his appetite before dinner.
Okay, I'm out of here.
After all, the highlight of his culinary odyssey is supposed to be the legendary Peking duck.
Beijing famous roasted duck. So it's a great night. The weather is perfect, and we're gonna have one of the most famous Chinese cuisines all around the world. I was told that if you want to have this, you should bring some of your good friends that you know have it together. So here's my friend, Tria. So she lives in Beijing, and I asked her to come and bring some of her friends. 今天晚上几个朋友来？
我喊了3个朋友。
Peking duck is probably the first thing that springs to mind when you think about Chinese food. And while you can get it in almost any city in the world, only Beijing has places that specialize in making this particular traditional dish. Peking duck has been known in China since the 1300s. But back then, the dish had a different name. The term Peking duck was coined during the Ming Dynasty around the 15th century. The first restaurant that served it was opened in Beijing in 1416. Eventually, this dish became so popular among the elites of Chinese society that poems were written in its honor. That's when Peking duck began its triumphant progress throughout China first, and then the rest of the world.
宝哥，等一下，等一下。主座，主座。
没事。
最重要的人要坐在主座。
是吗？
里边请，里边请，里边请。
好吧。
请坐，请坐，请坐。
好，那怎么？
我就坐在这儿了。
As is well known, having a meal is a ritual in China, and following the etiquette is a very important part of it. For instance, the Chinese are taught how to use chopsticks from a very young age. The main rules are you can't leave chopsticks sticking out of a bowl vertically, lick them, point at other people at the table, or knock them on the table or plate. And it's bad manners to go through the food looking for a better mouthful. What you touched, you eat.
宝哥，你知道刚才我们为什么要拿起杯子在桌子上敲吗？
我不知道。
这个呀，代表着如果我们每一个人距离都比较远，站起来碰杯呢有点麻烦。
麻烦就是。
我们干脆呢就用酒杯在桌上敲几下。这个过电的意思就代表我们的这个祝福就传递过去了。我们每一个人都接收到了，虽然杯子没有碰在一起，但是我们每个人心里还是干杯 ，Cheers
啊，挺好的。
In Europe, the custom is to order individual dishes for everyone. In China, it's the opposite. If there's more than one person at the table, several different dishes are ordered for everyone. Large common plates are put in the middle of the table, and smaller bowls with rice are given to each person. All the guests take a little bit of every dish. And now, finally, the time of the night's special has come.
是这样的，咱们不是开蒸完了，把这个内脏都取完之后嘛，然后挂上之后用开水烫皮，等这皮肉已经爆紧了以后，上第一遍糖色，然后挂到库里去先冻，冻好之后中间这72小时中间会再拿出来一次，再上一遍颜色。
On the internet, there are plenty of supposedly traditional Peking duck recipes where the carcass is pickled in soy sauce or honey. You know what? It's just utter nonsense.
它烤出来，是皮比较疏松，然后入口即化，然后低脂少油，肉质呢是没有味道的。
Authentic Peking duck must be roasted in a special oven using timber from fruit trees. But cooking the duck is just half the work. It should also be served correctly.
它这个烤鸭呢，烤熟了之后会跟一个师傅上来片，然后配置了刚才我说的几款，调料跟配料，还有这个小烧饼，还有这个甜面酱。然后呢，我们最早的这个传统片鸭呢，是片成片儿，一片儿一片儿的，不能少于108片。
But that's not all. The best part we saved for last. We'll learn how to eat Peking duck the right way.
宝哥，这就是烤鸭，
吃啊，
非常标准的吃法，来做个演示。看我们烤鸭饼，特别薄的一张，加上2到3片烤鸭，
Alright.
蘸上我们的面酱，
Okay.
加上一点葱丝，然后我们制作成一个小包裹，2，这就是一个非常标准的吃法了。
Okay. Finally, it's happening. It's really good. I'm too excited to explain it, in a way, but the texture of the skin, it's been roasted in a really, really good way. It's not thick, it's not thin. It's just the right size. And the amount of fat in the dog make it really crispy and really tender. Oh. I'm not crying, but it's true happiness,
Chinese cuisine is amazing, versatile and diverse. Perhaps that's why traditional Chinese dishes are well known and popular abroad. You should come to China, even if just to try its best food. Such a wide array of options won't leave anyone unmoved. Because you can find something to your liking no matter what your tastes and budget are. And the more often you come, the stronger the amazement is, since there's no way anyone can try all the famous traditional dishes, even in 100 years.